Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful Friday morning, where today we have the Managing Director and CEO of Critical Minerals Group, Mr. Scott Drelincourt, joining us. He's going to talk us through the announcement that was made earlier this week to tell investors what it means and what they should be focusing on. Scott, can you walk us through this report, please?
Yeah, sure, Pete, and thanks for having me as well, Peter. Look, the announcement came out on Wednesday. It's a really, really positive announcement. We've got initial drilling results come back. The drilling results come back so far are across the entire strike of the resource. So it's quite representative of what we sort of intend to get as all the drilling results come back now. So that's really positive. There's a few things that come from the drilling results, the assay results. Every drill hole is come back better than expected in the assay grade, particularly for vanadium. When we look at that comparatively to our current resource grade at 0.39%, and with our highlights grades as well between from the holes, it's quite positive. What we're also seeing in the drilling results is when we've got some examples of later there of some drilling highlights. And if you notice, we've got 10 holes today. Every 10 hole so far that's come back, it has drilling highlights in it for the assay grade. And then you can see the composites made up with the exact same parameters applied as our current resource model with a 0.3% V2O5 vanadium pentoxide cutoff grade, is already showing signs of being higher than our current resource already as it sits, which is currently 0.39%. So very, very encouraged to have consistent vanadium grades higher than expected across every hole. So really, really positive of things to come. So yeah, I'm excited about the drilling results. Yeah, it's really good.
And Scott, these don't seem to be too deep as well. Can you talk about the depth of this mineralization?
Yeah, so our resource is at surface, outcrops at surface. And we sort of cut it down to about 35 metres. If we haven't determined we've reached the only part of the deposit by 35 metres, it's not included in our resource model. So we're pretty conservative there. Yeah, so it's shallow and it's about 10 plus metres thick. So strip ratio is quite good. It's come back. Some of the holes have come back even shallower than expected as well, only by a few metres, but it's shallow, so it's great. I think you're on mute now, Peter.
Yep, it always happens. Thanks, Scott. Now, the alumina that you're pulling out in this mineralization as well, and you've got lava blue to test it. Can you give us a bit of an understanding about how that fits with the vanadium in the mineralization and what you're finding with that alumina content so far? Yeah,
sure. So we always had a suspicion that we'd be able to use alumina potentially to produce a high purity aluminium as a secondary product or a co-product with us. So we had to go through the work and now we've got some assays to confirm that. So mineralogically, the vanadium is found within the clays, the aluminum silicates, alumina. So when we have the ore going through the processing circuit and we're concentrating the vanadium, that goes into a concentrate with the aluminum silicates, and then we digest that into acid to strip out the vanadium. But at the same stage, we've got the alumina in solution as well. So now we've got an opportunity to pull that out as a secondary product as well, based on the grades you've seen there, up to 15% for the overburden and the lower seam. That's quite encouraging to have a second dual commodity really component to what we've got now. So it's exciting.
Was that something that you knew before when you were working up the vanadium resource and sampling for that there was significant alumina in that ore body?
We historically we knew there was alumina in those areas. Again, the assay results are bringing higher numbers than we anticipated, so that's encouraging. So we always suspected this, and with the METS work we had planned from the IPO, we were going to do some initial work on the potential to produce HBA, and that's why we've engaged Lava Blue to do the initial work for us, and they'll be using facilities at QUT, Queensland University of Technology. as well. So the plan there is for them to do the METS work to see if their ore is amenable to produce HPA, produce a report, and ultimately attempt to produce HPA in the next sort of 16 weeks as well. So we'll be able to come to market with that. So that's encouraging.
That's government's determined HPA is a critical mineral as well. It's a nice byproduct to have from your primary vanadium mineralization.
Yeah, it really is. It really fits into what we're trying to do here at Critical Minerals Group, drive the energy transition and be part of that solution. So the HPA component goes into your screens of your smartphone. There's no supplement for that. It goes into LEDs and it goes into anodes for batteries as well. So yeah, really excited to have that as a second component. We'll work through that with the METS work with Bridge and Met Labs and Lava Blue, put it all together. And as the results come out, we'll release to market what we're doing and how we're producing and what we're produced and what those numbers mean, and go through that as we move forward as well. So really exciting.
Okay, and the drilling program that's been completed and which we're waiting for full results for, what was it designed to achieve? Are you pretty happy with the way it's been completed? And do you learn anything more about the geology or the mineralization of the deposit?
Yeah, so very happy with how it turned out. Great success. All the results, we've got every milestone we wanted to achieve in the drill program we achieved. That's really good. What the purpose of the design was to achieve was probably about threefold. Ultimately, we wanted to have get more geological confidence in the resource. At the moment, it's inferred. The drilling program was designed in an indicated pattern, so hopefully we can convert most of that into indicated status with the JORC upgrade. We'll see what happens with the grade itself based on the assay results, but so far the signs are very positive. But we also threw in a couple of water monitoring holes as well. So we want to get environmental work started now. When we get into a PFS phase, we've already got the data behind us back into it, so we can accelerate through that as well. But ultimately, the main purpose of the drilling program was to obtain enough ore to do the metallurgical work this coming year, do the pilot plant work this coming year, while also having a JORC upgrade. So we made sure we put on multiple fronts, so we don't need to go back and replicate our work.
And speaking of concurrent activities, you've managed to advance the scoping study time frame by 5 months.
Oh yeah, well that's probably more recently. Yeah, I think in the IPO we said by the end of year 2 we wanted to have completed a scoping study. So now, based on the assay results, the geology, as I mentioned, the drilling has shown homogeneous and deposition of the geology. The assays have come back quite well across the whole strike. So yeah, quite excited to be able to bring things forward because of that confidence we now have in it. And we're not going to be completing the scoping study at the end of our 2-year period now. We'll be commencing it this year, and most likely aiming to commence it around the start of Q2. So that brings that significantly forward. I want to keep driving that with our shareholders, that we're moving forward at an accelerated and methodical pace to deliver this to become a battery metal producing company.
Good news and smooth sailing so far. The government, as we've pointed out, has been pretty proactive in looking for partners and assisting in these battery testing facilities. What sort of engagement do you continue to have with the Queensland and federal government?
Yeah, we're engaged on multiple levels with multiple departments, whether it's the National Battery Testing Centre or a few other things as well with the government. But we're also engaged, obviously, in this demonstration facility. We have approximately fortnightly discussions with them. There's a meeting coming up the following week where we're engaged with the government, but we're participants in the Queensland Resources Common User Facility, and we aim to be one of the first users. So yeah, conversations and discussions with government are ongoing.
It's all pretty good up in there in Queensland for the mining industry compared to some other states. Yeah. And current activity, what can shareholders expect in the coming couple of months? Scott, what's it like out there?
We'll have the remainder of the drilling results coming in the coming weeks. So we'll collate all that together and pull all that data together as we've done in the same format here again to make it really transparent, not just on the drilling results, but what it would mean as how it sits in the resources, which in this announcement. So we'll have that in the coming weeks. Following that, a couple of weeks from there, we'll also have the resource upgrade to go to market. That model's being built as we go, as we speak now. We're just waiting for the assays to plug into that model to finish it up. So that'll come a couple of weeks after the drilling results come back out. And then once the resource model's done, we'll be looking to commence the scoping study within a week or so of that as well. So we want to move at a pretty fast pace, but like I said, keep it methodical so we can tick every box. So there's a bit coming out in the short period for sure.
Good. Well, it's been a busy period since you've come to market, and it continues to be so by the looks. So we'll look forward to the news flows that comes through. Scott, thanks for talking to us this morning, and we look forward to hearing from you very soon.
No worries, Peter. Thanks for having me, mate. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.